Hey, it's Adele from Let's Get Inkie, and today we're jumping into an A4 art journaling process. And this one, she took an adventure. There was a little fail, there was some confusion, but we got there in the end, and I'm really happy with the end result. But it was a roller coaster to get there. Going through this Frankie magazine, trying to find an image. I just bought, actually the new Frankie has just come out, and I really need to subscribe to Frankie because it's cheaper, but I always forget. But I'm going to do it after this video comes out and treat myself for the year. I think it's only might be $60 for the year possibly, or something around there. And I use all of the images, plus I read the magazine. It's the only magazine that I buy, really. But I found this ad and I liked the person's eyes. They were looking into my soul, and so I very carefully cut around the shape of their head, and just I left the text in there because I thought if I cut out the text at the top of their head, it would be too low on their forehead and it would look a little bit funny. And so I do cover it up a little bit. Now, this is a page in my journal that is like a used up journal, and I had already plonked some paint on here many moons ago. So on the left hand side, it's just acrylic ink, I think, or watercolor, and I've just splodged on some paint very messily with a bit of splatter. No real thought to it. It's a slight rainbow, and I don't like the yellow, so I'm going to cover all of that up. My top tip, if you are sticking things over the spine in your book, is to fold them first. I didn't do that for many years, and I've only just recently figured it out, and it is a lifesaver. Because the images just stick down a lot better because you don't get a bit of a bubble where the spine is. So I stuck it down with matte gel medium, giving that a bit of a dry, and really no idea of where this page is going. I thought maybe because they have this big floral in front of them, looks like some sort of Australian native, I thought maybe I'd use a floral stencil. And so I grabbed these two from, so that other folder has all of my smaller stencils, and this one has all of my mega stencils, the bigger ones. And so I grabbed a couple of different floral stencils that I had. Some of them are a bit more detailed than others, and I just wasn't sure what feel I was going for. So I went for this one, and I've never used this stencil before. I don't know the brand. It could be TCW. I'm not 100% sure on that though. And I'm grabbing some acrylic ink, acrylic blue paint, and I was dabbling with the idea of doing a layer of white gesso through the stencil first, but then I went, nah. You know, when you think of something and you're like, I could do that, but I'm not going to. If I had done the white gesso, the blue would have looked more, probably brighter. It did come out a lot darker because it has that red behind it. But I didn't think I really needed to bother just because the blue was so dark and I knew it was going to overpower whatever colour was behind it. Whereas if I was going to put, say, pale pink or yellow or even an orange, one of those lighter, warmer colours, I definitely would have had to have put the white through the stencil first to make sure that the colour would show up on that red paint in the background. Then I tried a new pen. So this is a Uniball Signo Broad gel pen, but it's the bronze colour. It's not the gold. So I already have the gold and the white. I use the white all the freaking time. And recently when I was at Officeworks, I saw the bronze there, and I thought that could be fun for something a bit different. And it is the champion of this entire page. Without it, this page I think would have been a bit flat. It might not have looked as cohesive, but because she is wearing a bronze blouse, or draped silken top of some sort. The bronze really makes the stencil pop, and it's my favourite part of the whole page, and I'm glad I did it because I was umming and ahhing about it, because the stencil has a lot of little bits, and it's also slightly abstracty. Like, a lot of the shapes in it are random blobs, and it's not like a stencil that's, say, all stars or all hearts or all circles. It's got a lot of blobby shapes into it, and so I didn't know if the outline was going to work, but it did, so that was good. I did, for most part, try to do the outline slightly indented inside the blobs, if that makes sense, inside the blue bits, and I really like the way that looks. It also helps the stencil not become too much thicker, because you can run into problems there with blobs mixing into each other because the lines around the outline are too thick. So then I added some white stars. I did some in their hair as well. And then down the bottom here I did some white leafies, just to basically to cover up the text that was in this advertisement. I am now reaching for my foam stamp from Art Foamies, and you're meant to put the the paint on a special sponge thing and then press your foam stamp into the sponge to get the paint on it, but I don't have the sponge, and so I'm just painting it on there, and I'm going for a rustic look. I'm not expecting these little plus signs to be perfectly drawn like I would with a pen. We're going more for the abstract feel, so I do that around the edges, and just trying to blend that focal image back a little bit, trying to push it back by adding more layers on top of it. My other favourite part of this page is how the left hand side of those leaves look on her face. I really love that. Now here I was a bit disappointed with my old fave pen. I think she's finally conking out. I don't think she's working very well. So I usually use the Food Ball Pen by Otto. I don't know if they say it like that, but OHTO is the brand. And it skipped a lot, and it wasn't as black and juicy as it usually is. I don't know if it's because maybe the matte gel medium wasn't dry on the page, but it really looked terrible. And so I went over the top of it with a blue Posca, and that for me is the fail of this page, because you can tell there's 2 layers of text, and it's really annoying. I'm covering up her face so I don't splat on her. But yeah, it does really annoy me, and I think it annoys me even more because I was tossing up between using a paint pen for the quote and just the normal black pen, and I decided to go with the normal black pen, and it didn't work. So I'm annoyed because I should have gone with my original gut instinct, and I didn't. It looks fine, but to me, I'm nitpicking it. Especially the she. That one's particularly thicker than the rest of it, and it bothers me. And then the author is not over the top of black pen, and so it's very blue. Yeah, anyway, that's just me nitpicking. And then I felt like the page there was a lot going on, and I felt like it needed a bit of neutralizing. Is that even a term? And so I'm grabbing my white sponge that I did the stenciling with, and I'm just doing a little distressing around the edge. It also helps bring in that, minimize that gap at the top of the image and the edge of the book. There was about a 0.5 centimetre gap, just because of the size of the focal image, and that was annoying me too. And then I added some splats, and I think by adding the white and the splats, it just helped the page look complete. It just helped it look a bit more cohesive, and she looks like she's mystical forest witch coming out from the smoky white foggy forest that she resides in. That's the vibe I get anyway. What type of vibe do you get from her? Thanks for joining today, peeps. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I will be back tomorrow with a whole nother video. Only got like 1 week left of the Inkie Marathon. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out. And I'll see you tomorrow for a new video. Bye!